hate talking about death. You know,
I'm so sad.
Like it's never fun. And yet here we are. We have to talk about death because Bob Cole passed today.
He did.
Bob Cole.
Or last night. He passed last night. They just announced it today. Yeah.
Bob Cole is a towering figure in sports, in hockey specifically.
Even like in towering figure in hockey, but like GOAT commentator in Canada.
Sure. Yeah.
Like in Canada, he did things like curling and like
he did everything.
Other stuff too. This guy is the GOAT. Like I remember, I mean, you and I grew up listening to him, right? We had him for national broadcast, and then we had Joe Bowen for regular
region.
Broadcast, right?
Back when life made sense and good decisions were made about broadcasts, because that was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love having Gordon MJ because there is somewhat of
and
like
I like Chris Cuthbert as
I
well.
love CC, actually, yeah. Like, I think they're great commentators, but, like, I remember Bob Cole and, like, some of the calls, like, etched into my brain, Sundin's 500.
Yeah, that was...
I can hear it in my ears still.
So, Bob Cole passed at the age of 90. He passed from being 90. It was you know, like...
He likes his rum and coke, so guess what I'm having right now?
You having a rum and coke?
Yeah.
Is there rum in there?
There's a little bit.
All right. Yeah, look, it's obviously tragic. Like, you lose... The one solace I have here, like the one little bit of solace I have when I found out about this, is that it wasn't a tragedy.
Right.
Like, it wasn't taken from us too soon. We got 90 years of Bob Cole on this earth.
And 50 in front of a mic.
In the booth, like 50 in front of a mic across multiple sports. It's great. But I just thought, like, we'll open the show maybe. We'll get in, obviously, the fact that the Leafs are still cooked. They were cooked on last podcast. They're cooked now. Perhaps even more so. And obviously, we'll do a couple other series. But Bob Cole, I mean, I loved him, man.
We probably aren't sitting here on a podcast without Bob Cole, because the reality is like he's responsible for some of our fandom.
I would say most people who have a podcast or are in media who are around our age or older would not be there. I can confidently say most people would either not be there or not be there as prominently as they are without Bob Cole. Like, he was... You go in front of a mic for 50 years, and like he was the voice of Hockey Night in Canada, and like Hockey Night in Canada is still an institution, it's still a good brand, everyone recognizes it, but like it is definitely being diluted lately. The fact that it's not only on CBC, the fact that it's like it's kind of being spread out and all that, like, you know,
it's more like sponsorship Hockey Night versus like welcome to Hockey Night in Canada. Like, the song is different now.
Yeah, like...
They don't wear the blue jackets. Like,
back in the day, and I know, like, this is nostalgia bait or whatever, but back in the day when it was like... And, like... And when it was, you know, Bob Cole in front... You knew it was going to be Bob Cole in front of the mic. Like, that was the golden era. And what I loved about Bob Cole is, obviously, he had the voice of an angel, and... You know, it was great, but he was the master of like the perfectly placed pause, I would say.
Like he letting the crowd.
He would, and you know, I don't want to throw anyone else under the bus, Pierre Maguire, but like he allowed the moment to breathe. So like, how many times are there calls with him where like Sundin's going to be like, Sundin?
Yeah, he didn't say, like, a hat trick and number 500 until, like, 40 seconds
like,
after.
Shit scars! Sundin! And then lets the moment breathe, and then it's like, 500 goals! What? You know, like, stuff like that. And what I loved, like, my favorite call of all time, not just my favorite Bob Cole call, my favorite call of all time, and it will likely never be changed unless maybe whoever is calling the Leafs winning the cup, if they ever do before I die, is able to do it properly. But like there's a big fight going on. Literally it goes like this. Picture a big fight going on, and then this is Bob Cole. Everything is happening.
That was such, like, it became a meme.
I use that in my day, like on a daily basis. I use that at work today. Before Bob Cole, like before I found out about this, a bunch of my coworkers were asking me about the game last night, and we were joking around. I was just like, and then like everything was happening, you know, that kind of thing. Like it's
I was there. Everything
yeah.
was happening.
So it's beautiful, you know. He's a beautiful voice, beautiful by all accounts. I never obviously got to meet him, but like from what you can tell, like just a when I say towering figure, I mean just like a good person, like someone who uplifted people, someone who would.
I remember,
you know.
So when I was working in New Jersey, I had just turned 22. It was like obviously it was my first job in hockey, like at that level, and Bob Cole was still calling games. That was when he was winding it down.
That's probably his last year.
Was his second last season, yeah. So
wow,
he was in town to call a game, and I remember being in like the media room in New Jersey, which is like a big sort of just gathering room, and you go up. There's like a buffet with like trays of food or whatever that they've brought in, and I didn't know it was a Bob Cole game. So I was kind of like, whatever, go down, get my dinner. I walked in the room and I grab my food and I sit down, and everyone knows I'm Canadian. Me and Amanda Stein were the only Canadians, like, kind of in that media room. And I had, like, friends who knew that I loved Bob Cole. And one of them looks at me and goes, Mr. Cole's here tonight. I was like, wait, what? I turn around and he is getting his food 15 feet from me. I was so starstruck, I didn't even know what I was, like, doing. I froze. I was like, okay. And I will now regret this forever. I didn't have the confidence or the nuts to, like, go up and say hi. But just to be, like, in the room with Bob Cole, I was like, this, like, I don't deserve to be here. This is crazy. And I remember the off season after Connor McDavid met him. He was back home in Newmarket, and there's like a mutual friend group and whatever. And the big thing was like he came home and they're like, oh, like what was the most memorable part of the season? Like kind of doing a debrief on the air. He's like, I met Bob Cole.
Yeah.
Like this guy, we're talking about the best hockey player in the game right now. And they're like, oh, what's the number one memory from your season? And he was like, I met Bob Cole. Nathan McKinnon today, but you know who I'm curious to hear from? I want to hear from two guys. I want to hear from Joe Sakic, and I want to hear from Steve Yzerman. Because he has he has many calls. Mario Lemieux too, but Joe Sakic, like the Avs are playing.
They are.
And you could make the argument that the Joe Sakic call in 2002 is one of the most iconic calls in hockey history.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, you're right. It's always, like, just a side note, it's always crazy to hear like a commentator, like an announcer whose voice, especially play-by-play, specifically play-by-play, whose voice you're so accustomed to hearing, like call shots and call goals and call just like literally like the plays of the game, just be in like a normal context. Like it would happen all the time. I remember it was my first game covering the Leafs, and I was in the bathroom and I'm waiting in line because like it was an intermission and everyone was in there and all the urinals were filled. And then I hear this voice behind me and it goes like, so I guess everyone's pissing today. And it's Joe Bowen just being like, but you know, like the whole Magadon, he's like, so I guess everyone's pissing right now. You know, like kind of thing. And like, or I would hear Chris Cuthbert all the time.
I love CC. He's
like
great.
All that, or you know, like it's just never Jim Houston because he doesn't do Leafs games anymore. But like, it's a very My other favorite thing is it's Bob Cole, and I'm not sure if he was caught on the mic. He was caught on sort of like a hot mic, and it's a great story that Steve Dangle tells all the time, where it's when Nikolai Kulemin was on the Leafs.
Yes.
And people were trying to figure out like how do you pronounce his name? Is it Kulemin? Is it Kulemin? And Bob Cole kept calling him Cool Lemon. And people are like, no, Bob, it's like on the mic, like because you know in between station breaks, I think Steve was help producing it or something. But in between station breaks, like you hear it, and so someone was correcting Bob and being like, hey Bob, by the way, it's Kulemin, not Cool Lemon. He's like, no, it's Cool Lemon, or like he's like, no, it's Cool Lemon, and then like the guy's like, no, Bob, it's Cool. He's like, well, I asked the fucking guy,
Yes.
you know. And like I can't even. Bob Cole's one of those guys I can't even imagine him swearing. But he's like, but I asked the fucking guy, you know. And he's a titan, man. He's a titan. So it's.
I loved Gord Miller's tweet, which was basically like it said everyone who calls hockey games is in his shadow.
Absolutely.
And I think that's great because like we love Chris Cuthbert. I think that Gord Miller is a great play-by-play guy. Like even Joe Bowen. But
like Doc Emmerich is great.
Oh my God, Doc was fantastic.
Like all that.
But if you told me this is the last hockey game you're ever allowed to watch, or like the Leafs are in the Cup final, who is calling the game? It's Bob Cole.
Bob Cole and Harry Neal.
Okay, yeah, Harry Neal, wild. Some of the things that came out of Harry's mouth would not be acceptable.
They were they were a perfect blend because Bob Cole was like the very straight laced, like everything is happening, but like even he's describing chaos on the ice, and yet it's very like measured. It's very, you know, straight to the point. Is like you know what are 3 words to describe a chaotic scene? Everything is happening, and you know exactly what's happening. Like it's perfect. It's all he's economical. He's efficient. And with his words, and Harry Neal, on the other hand, is like going off on tangents. He's you know there's opinion going. It's great. Like they were a perfect duo, and they really were like like they were the voice that I associated with the Leafs being good for most because
nevertheless
yeah. And then obviously, and then it's funny like once they started to move away from Bob Cole and Harry Neal every night, once we started to get Jim Houston, no offense Jim Houston, he's very good, but like once we started to get other guys. Leafs started to trend downward, you know?
So I realized something today as I was like reflecting on Bob Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this says a lot about that franchise, generally speaking.
What, the Leafs?
Yeah.
Okay.
The last person to call a Maple Leafs second round win is now gone.
And even if he was still here...
That's how long it's been.
And even if he was still here, he would be 90 years old. Like let's put it this way. The last person to call a Leafs second round win just passed away from old age today.
Yeah. That's where we're at.
Yeah. So...
It's not great, everybody.
It's not great.
But it's just, I Bob Cole is just such a soundtrack, and it's interesting to see, like, we're in our late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of really the last generation.
Hey, we're mid to late. I'm still categorizing it as mid to late.
Okay, well, we're 28.
I know, but 29 is late 20s, okay?
But when you think about it, like, I saw Chris Johnson tweet today. He's like, he was the soundtrack of my growing up. Mike Kelly tweeted it.
Chris Johnson's a boomer. Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
Chris Johnson, fun fact, guys, is 73 years old.
But, like, my dad,
yeah.
I had to break the news to my dad because my dad doesn't do Twitter. I had to tell my dad, like, Bob Cole passed away, and he was like, oh, that's
If your dad
sad.
does, by the way, anyone out there, if your dad does Twitter, you should emancipate right away.
Yeah.
That's not good. But no, that's heartbreaking. Like, it's...
And even though he's old, so it's not, like, tragic, I still cried.
No, of course. Because someone who you were so used to being in your life is no longer in your life. But the great thing about it, though, and what is giving me, again, solace in all this, is, and what's great about the fact that he was a commentator, is that his voice lives on forever. His calls lives on forever. His presence, his impact, just like the actual tangible moments and memories, they're there. They're documented. You can go, like, I'll go on YouTube tonight, probably before I go to bed, and just search up best Bob Cole moments.
Well, so it's funny because, like, his thing was, like, he said Danny Gallivan or Foster Hewitt, one of the two of them, always told him, like, you're there to enhance the game. Yeah. It's not like your moment. But reality of the situation, would we really appreciate Vladdy Konstantinov the way that we do if he hadn't had that call where it's like, oh, what a hit by Konstantinov, or like Borshevsky's overtime winner?
Yeah.
He made those, or the Gilmore against
the Gilmore wraparound against
the Gilmore, the Gilmore wraparound. Like,
but what I loved about it is, like, you remember those hits for those hits, and then secondarily you remember them for a great Bob Cole moment. But he didn't make it about himself. He enhanced them, And we
he
see
made them
that,
better. Yeah.
we see that, like, you're right. Like, would they be as prominent without Bob Cole calling them? No.
No
Like,
chance.
but he did the perfect thing is that he wasn't. We don't remember them because of Bob Cole's call. We remember them, and then we go, oh, why we remember them is because there's a Bob Cole call. You know, like for example, like, and I hate to, again, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but like, obviously the Jordan Eberle 5 seconds remaining game tying goal is legendary.
Oh, it was also a great call by Gord Miller.
It was
like he nailed that call.
Great call by, like, you know, shoot line, Eberle scores, tie game, can you believe it? Like, great.
Oh, I can.
But exactly. But like what, and I think we would look back on it fondly like any other great moment. But why it is a meme and why it is always mentioned is because Gord Miller went, can you believe it? And then, you know, it would have been the absolute rocking place. I believe it was in Saskatoon as well. Of Canada.
No, it was Ottawa.
Or Ottawa.
It was
yeah.
Ottawa.
It was Saskatoon the next year.
Yeah.
Back to back Canadian. That was crazy. But like, is that Tim Boire goes, I can, which is making it about himself. Bob Cole would never go and say like, well, I believe that this, like, he would never say, I believe. He would never, like, it's not his job to give us
like
opinion.
the Lemieux goal.
Yeah.
Well, there's two, right? There's the one that he put through Bork.
Yeah.
Which is crazy given it's Ray Bork.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, have you ever seen such finesse? And then is silent for like 30 seconds
He
to
didn't
let
go,
you listen
I've
to the
never
crowd.
seen that before. He like to be honest, a lesser commentary would have gone, I have never seen that before. But no, he goes, have you ever seen that before? Because it's all, and like Ron McLean has obviously dipped a lot lately. He's talking about, he literally started asking Bobby McMahon about haberdashery like towards the end of the season. But what I loved about what Ron McLean would do is that he wouldn't go, welcome back everybody, or welcome everybody when he shows on. He would talk directly to the viewer. He'd go, welcome, I'm Ron McLean. Like, so it's almost like you're sitting down with him. And Bob Cole did something very similar. Like he'd always go, have you ever, he would put the onus on you to go, you're right, I haven't seen anything like that. You know?
Or like Connor, I remember when the first ever goal he called of Connor McDavid's, because it's something that's get talked about in our friend group a lot. Connor McDavid, remember that name. Yeah. And it's like in his rookie season, Bob Cole said that, and it's like, couldn't have been more correct.
Yeah.
Could not have been more correct. But I think the one where the second Lemieux one, which is the one there's a statue of.
Yes.
Where he goes, like, Lemieux coming in, look at Lemieux, oh my goodness, and then, oh baby, silent.
Oh baby is perfect. Like he nails the oh baby.
If I don't hear an oh baby from one commentator over the next few days as a tribute, I'm going to be very upset.
We should be hearing one tonight.
But there's no Canadian teams are playing tonight.
You're right, yeah.
So here's the weird thing. The next playoff game to take place in Canada is Saturday night in Toronto. If you do not open Hockey Night in Canada with Bob Cole,
they will.
All of you are fired.
There will be a huge memorial to him. I guarantee it. Like they will open it up. They will talk. I wouldn't be surprised if they all wore the jackets. You know?
Oh, that would be sick.
Like they might break him out. Like I think they'll lean into it because like this is.
It's the guy.
It's the guy. You know?
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's got the Order of Canada.
Yeah. But he is the voice, like, of a generation. Foster Hewitt and Danny Galvin were a voice of the generation beforehand.
But even multiple generations, like us,
yeah.
Our parents.
Like, I think these days, just because of how many different options there are, like, you can watch a local broadcast, you can watch this, you can watch a friggin' like Peacock exclusive now, like all that kind of stuff. Like they're back. Like Bob Cole was on when it like where you watched hockey was the Canadian Broadcast Channel.
Yeah, you turned it on and you clicked 6 on your remote and then enter. There was no cable.
There was no, can we get the 4K stream? There wasn't
even HD back then.
Yeah, there was no like, do we need this streaming account? Or there's like, like when you go to a game now, there's the away radio, there's the away broadcast, there's the national broadcast, there's potential home regional broadcast. Like it was just Bob Cole. And so like, I don't know these days if there will be another voice of a generation because there's just so many voices.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great point. I mean, I was talking to a few people in the biz earlier today, and like every single one of them kind of said, like, I don't think there's ever gonna be an equal.
No,
ever.
Like, and not even just from a skill perspective, because I don't think anyone will be able to top that. But I mean, just from like a visibility perspective, there's no one that is just in front of us all the time like that. Because even with Leafs games, like you would see You would see.
Well, because sometimes you get Chris Cuthbert and sometimes you
Sometimes
get Gord Miller, where it used to be like you're getting Bob Cole on Saturday nights,
and you know that.
and maybe sometimes you get him during the week, but then you
Yeah.
get Joe Bowen,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's you basically you got one of the two, and that was kind of it.
But then even like sometimes.
But even it was cool because like we got to hear Bob call Leaf games because it was the national broadcast. But then it's like as the Stanley Cup playoffs would progress,
Yeah.
we got to hear Bob Cole no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like you knew the game was big because Bob Cole was calling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
It gave it a heightened level. Yeah. So.
Bob or with Steve Dangle's LFR where he's talking about the Chicago, where Bob Cole spoke for like 7 minutes straight in that play, and then it ended with the Hanzus winner.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's
How do you
amazing.
talk
I
for
don't
that
know.
long? I
Well,
don't
we're
get
on
it.
a
Man.
podcast, so I mean, we do it all the time, but clearly not as good as Bob Cole. Yeah. So we just wanted to get like, if dedicate this episode to Bob Cole, give a be able to sort of remember him. And hey, man, if you have your favorite Bob Cole moment or whatever, let us know.
Bob Cole, man. Oh baby.
Oh baby. So Rachel, I opened the last episode, which was on Monday, saying the Leafs are cooked. They're done. Well done. And they are now seared.
I was at that game last
They've
night.
been sous vide. They've been reverse pan seared. It's not great.
Yeah, I mean, the power play is
atrocious.
categorically unacceptable. Like, simply, you got to get it 1 for 11. Should they have had more power plays? Yes.
Would it have mattered? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yep.
So then we get to this point of like, you're doing the exact same thing over and over again. The one I was talking to somebody who's coached in the league, not named Bruce Boudreau. Because when I say I talked to Bruce, I'm just going to say I asked Bruce. Somebody mentioned that they would actually put Max Domi on the top power play unit. Because...
What a shocker.
Yeah, because of his demonstrated ability to create things out of nothing with Matthews, and also to be a royal pain in the ass at the net front.
Do you know who's supposed to be able to do that, Rachel? Do you know who's being paid $11 million a year to be able to create something out of nothing? How much is Max Domi being paid? $3 million. One year,
I was going to say $3 million bucks.
Mitch Marner has been fucking awful.
So his pass last night, I actually have it on video, was
his pass
disgusting.
Is that was like, I saw that and I went, holy smokes.
That was the only time I noticed him all night.
Yeah, like I noticed him a couple other times, but not for the reasons you wanted. The amount of giveaways, the amount of
that one at the blue line,
just dipsy doodle bullshit. Like what he does, like he also he's got this habit of launching these like just like lofty wristers from like the top of the circle that have no business being launched at the net from that angle.
I think what was telling for me is like Austin Matthews was very clearly under the weather yesterday.
Yes.
And I thought he played better.
Infinitely better.
And here's the thing is like
Matthews hit 2 posts. He hit a crossbar and a post.
We saw like last night's a perfect example where I get frustrated because I'm like, Mitch Marner makes an absolutely disgusting pass to Matthew Nyes to open the scoring. Mm-hmm. Like, I saw that and I was like, oh, he might be back.
Oh, I was like,
was like, whoa.
I was
hey.
like, that's a vintage Marner pass. Like, that's the pass that got him the $11 million.
Yeah, I'm like, nasty.
I saw that and I tweeted it, but I thought in my mind as well, like, if Marner's got his swagger back, like, this is a totally different series.
Completely.
Like, this is like Leafs in 6. Like, this is going to be nuts.
Yeah, like if he's pumping, then if
Mitch Marner is as good as Mitch Marner can possibly be,
then I don't even think the series is close. Because I actually think the Leafs, outside of that brain fart by Mitch Marner, they've really done a good job of shutting Pasternak down.
Absolutely.
But they can't shut DeBrusk down or Marchand to save their lives. So that's a problem, and I'm sure we'll get to that.
Being able to not be able to shut Jake DeBrusk down is a bit embarrassing. It's Jake DeBrusk, like he's fine, but like, come on.
But he also averages like 1.3 points per game against the Leafs, and it's like, this is embarrassing and like cannot happen. But what I was gonna say is like,
wait, hold on, before you say that, I don't want to get you off track, but like you mentioned that Jake DeBrusk averages 1.13 points per game against the Bruins. Do the Leafs have any? Do the Leafs have a player that just miraculously pops off against the Bruins?
No.
Wouldn't
Actually, the only one that has decent numbers is
nice?
Morgan Riley.
Yeah, but like, you know what we talk about? It's always like, oh, Jake DeBrusk always elevates his game against the Leafs. He always comes to play. Do the Leafs have a single player who does that against the Bruins?
Other than Matthews in game 2, no.
Yeah, but
That was one game. I mean, he's under the weather, but
we never hear where it's just like, oh man,
we got to play this guy.
Connor Dewar, he always brings it against the Bruins. I don't know what it is about this guy, but he just shows up against this team. You know who used to do that? William Nylander.
Yeah, except he's like half dead right now.
William Nylander's in like a hyperbaric chamber right now. Like he can't, like it's...
And for everyone, the one thing that like, okay, on the Nylander thing, the one thing that like really pissed me off was like, okay, it's a head injury. I understand your want to be like the guy reporting that, but Brad Marchand literally elbowed Tyler Bertuzzi in the head last night, and there was no call at all. And the Bruins are notoriously dirty. You think reporting on William Nylander's head injury is gonna make it like?
There's a reason why the Leafs kept it so close to the vest.
Because the second this guy comes back in the series, there's gonna be elbows flying at his head. Mm-hmm. Because the Bruins know they're not gonna call every single one. Clearly, you can be fucking tackled behind the back of the net. They're not gonna call that either.
You can't fire all of us. Like it's
exactly. Yeah. So I understand. It's like, oh, I want to be first. Just say it's an upper body injury. Nobody had any idea what it was, but just say it was upper body, and like that's fine. But to be reporting on concussion, migraines, this, and then I saw people be like, "What do you mean he's not playing through a migraine?" Yeah, you have clearly never had a migraine.
Yeah, migraines you can't see. Like you can't.
I get blind spots.
Yeah, like
so. Do you think brutal. You should be playing playoff hockey if you have blind spots?
I do think that the reporter who was before Elliot Friedman, the reason Elliot Friedman came out and did that is because there was this other reporter who decided to go rogue. So he had to kind of calm it down. And that guy's a fucking idiot. So maybe don't do that. Yeah,
there's a reason we did not speculate on his injury.
Exactly.
Like, don't do that.
This wouldn't have happened, though. I'm of the belief this wouldn't have happened if the Leafs had just said, and I said this before, and I'll say this again. If the Leafs had just said, he tweaked something, like we're monitoring it, he's day to day. If they had just said that at a press conference, when he was not available, everyone will go, what's happening with Willie? And they go like, oh, he tweaked something. He woke up today, tweaked something. We're monitoring it and we're hoping that he'll be ready to go in the next couple days. Yeah. If they just said that, then it would have died down. Instead, they go, we're not going to tell you.
Yeah, it's like,
oh, you want to know about Willie? Nope. We're not telling you because we're so cool and mysterious. Lockdown. Brad Treliving told me not to tell you guys. Tell you stupid media guys that we don't have about our injuries.
Yeah, just say,
So then, of course, people are going to speculate. People are going to think, oh, he got benched. People are going to think that.
Which was objectively the stupidest.
First of all, if Sheldon Keefe benched his second best forward in game 1 of the playoff series because he didn't take game 81 and 82 seriously, he should be thrown in prison
immediately. Like fired.
I mean tried like, before a court. And so like
the court of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
The Canadian Supreme Court. like
it's a federal offense.
Exactly. But none of this is another thing where it's like if you would just been up front, if you would have not been cagey and weird and standoffish about this. And it's been like that with their PR all year, where they've just been weird and standoffish about everything. If you had just said, he woke up this morning, he tweaked something, we're monitoring it, and we're hoping...
Don't even say like he woke up this morning. Just say like he tweaked something in game 82. Thanks for coming. Or just
like he tweaked something the other day.
Game 81.
Yeah, we tweaked something the other day. We're hoping it's we're hoping it's nothing too major, and we're monitoring it. We're hoping he'll be good to go in the next couple of days. That would have cut down literally like 70% of all this.
Now you got people trying to play like doctor, and it's like
you could have
don't.
Yeah. However, I have a stat here for you.
But now you know, so this is the other thing I'll be watching for now. Okay. He's eventually going to get back in the series.
He'll probably come back. I bet he'll come back game 4.
So, if they target his head, there
better be penalties.
No scenario where they can argue with the Department of Player Safety that it isn't. So I'm kind of curious to see is something that they're watching for, because it's like that is clear, that's premeditated. That's different. It's not like the Artemi Panarin hit where you're like, okay, Panarin doesn't do that stuff usually. And like, is it a suspendable play? It could. I think in the regular season, he probably gets a game, right? But you can't be fined in the playoffs because you're not technically being paid. So I can understand the Department of Player Safety there. But I wonder now, it's like, okay, let's say Nylander comes back and Brad Marchand, because we all know it's going to be him, throws a full-blown chicken wing at Nylander's head. You can't argue that it isn't, like, we know it's his head.
If Morgan Riley's cross-check to Ridley Gregg, which Ottawa Senators fans are still talking about to this day.
Which is so funny. Your season is over. Goodbye.
They cue it up and they get the Vaseline and they just go to town on themselves with that footage. It's insane. But if that was considered premeditated because he saw it happen and then he thought about it and then he did it, this has got to be like first-degree murder. This is like,
aggravating factors.
Exactly. I have a stat for you though, Rachel, because know what? It's not even. I've tried to be very sort of diplomatic about any criticism towards Marner or any of the big guys this playoff series.
I've tried to as well
because I don't want to overreact.
You don't want to pull a Steve Simmons because I think you and I can agree that was really extreme.
It was, but it was also I saw that and the first thought I had was heartbreaking. The worst person you know makes a good point because it was.
There are better. Well, I would say
there were better times to do it.
There were also
he sucks the next game.
There's also
they won the
better
game
ways to approach that.
I can see why they did it. It's inflammatory.
It's also the Toronto Sun.
It's inflammatory. It's the Toronto Sun, and also it's technically not wrong. Like that's the thing. But there's a time and a place. I think just from an editorial perspective, it would have played a lot better if they didn't just even up the series with a monster victory in Boston the day before you dropped that. Like if you dropped that today,
or even because Marner had that assist last night. If the Leafs lose and Marner has like 3 points in the series, drop it then.
Yeah, but I'm saying I know he had an assist, but he also played terribly last night. Yeah. Even if he dropped it today, it would have hit so much harder than that before. But so I've been trying to be very diplomatic about it, as you have as well. But so the other day, the Leafs are down. They're down 3-2. There's like 5 minutes left, and I just tweet out now's a perfect opportunity for your $11 million winger to put his stamp on the game.
Well, if you would have tied that game,
I don't think that's
all of it's forgotten.
Exactly. I don't think that assertion for me that it's time for your $11 million winger to put his stamp on the game. I don't think that's out. That's crazy.
Or any of the three $11 million players. Except the other $11 million player was the reason you have a win in this series at all.
Yeah. And the other $11 million player at least has an even strength goal.
Correct. And he's also... So people... I saw our former employer make a comment about, the discourse. People say Nylander's a good playoff player and Marner's not. This is wrong because here's our points per game.
So I was just about to.
And I was gonna go with this. So I don't know if you remember this, but I wrote a piece last year, and I basically was like, look at when Nylander gets his points, and look at when Marner gets his points.
I have it in front of me right now. So and what I was gonna say is,
Nylander has game-winning goals.
So I got a couple of responses because Marner still has his diehard fans, and all the accounts that get on my case, whenever I say, I don't even mention his name, but I say, I would love the $11 million winger to play good, basically. And they go wow, the hate for Marner's crazy. He has 47 points in 53 career playoff games, whatever.
Yeah, they're all empty calorie, though.
Marner has, in total, so from game 4 on of a playoff series, Marner has 4 points. None of them are goals, by the way.
So basically, when the series gets really hard,
it gets even better. Or worse, I would say. Marner has not scored a goal from game 4 of a series on.
Okay. Ever?
I believe so.
Oh,
let me check.
Christ. Okay. Well, anyway, no, just continue.
I'm correct.
That's ridiculous.
So he's played nine games past game 4 of a series. So
okay, so in 9 you have 9 opportunities to get on the score sheet.
4 total points.
Fuck.
When it comes, if you take that even further, so from game 5 on in his career as a Leaf, want to know how many points?
I guess it's 2.
1.
How many points does Nylander have?
I don't know, but more than that.
Well, he had the game winner.
So there you go. He already has more.
And this is what pisses me off is 47 points in 53 games good? Yes, that's a good hockey player. But if those are empty calorie
they're all
points,
game 1, 2, and 3.
Right, but if you get a point on a 5-1 goal, I'm not interested.
Last year, people are using
Austin Matthews has 3 game-winning goals in the last 2 seasons. John Tavares gets slack because he scored the series-winning goal, which, you know what? Are we sitting here having this discussion if Mitch Marner scored that goal?
Absolutely
no
not.
chance.
Mitch Marner, if he's the one who caught lightning in a bottle, or as Chris Cuthbert said, he would have an entire season of leeway.
A minimum. And the thing is like there's still an opportunity because Game 4 is Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
If Mitch Marner comes out and has 3 points, 2 goals, whatever, we're like, he's fixed. It's fine.
Even if he gets 3 killer assists.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be killer, but just like 3.
Or he blocks like 6 shots on a penalty kill in the Leafs.
And he's done that before in the playoffs against Boston.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not
he's
like we're
capable.
saying he's bad. He's capable. That's the thing.
And I think that's what pisses us off is that we know that he cares.
You know what else?
So much. And he just can't get it done.
You know what else pisses me off though, and is that because and this is a common narrative, but I was really thinking about it today, and I go, and I can't believe I'll be saying this, but Sid Sixero brought up a good point. Is that everything that Marner has asked for from the Leafs franchise and their fans, he's being given. He's being deployed exactly the way he's wanted to.
I feel like the same is... So let's go across the board just to point out differences. That's been the same for all 4 of the big boys.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've all asked for it, and they've all been deployed accordingly.
Exactly. But like he didn't take a hometown discount.
Nope.
In fact, he threatened to go
play
Switzerland.
in Switzerland, which was...
play in Switzerland. He had his agent, or maybe not had his agent, but his agent who represents him, came out the day after Austin Matthews signed his contract extension to talk about how bad of a deal it is and how much more money Mitch Marner wants.
That made me so mad.
Which is the dumbest thing you possibly could have done. He's been deployed exactly how he's wanted to with the people he's wanted to. He's never signed for max term. You know, he's been given he's raked in tons and tons of endorsement contracts, and Leafs fans have willfully, like you can say, Leafs fans have willfully given him their money. And so and we now have like an 8-year track record of this. In the situations where he needs to produce, where the stakes are the highest, where the season is on the line, he doesn't just not play well. He doesn't show up.
So, and this is the thing, and I want to bring it back to like
how many
being reasonable in the sense of like we're sitting here because he's earned this criticism.
Absolutely.
But I think if we're sitting here in a week and a half and there's 3 games left, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 4 games left in the series potentially. Potentially. But if we're sitting here in a week and a half and he put up 6 points in those 4 games,
you bet your sweet ass we're not talking this way.
No, but we're talking about him in an entirely different fashion.
We're not walking this back because it's criticism that's warranted right now. But we're
saying he got it together and good on him.
We are giving Mitch Marner his flowers, his due.
And the thing is like, neither one of us is cheering for this to happen.
No!
I hope this guy puts up 2 points a game for the rest of the series.
It's so good for the city. Like, literally, the Leafs going on a Stanley Cup run might save the Canadian media industry. It might save Sportsnet. It might
boost the economy.
It will boost the economy from people coming here, but also from like local restaurants, from bars, from literally like signage vendors.
And even though people are critical, like I was there last night when he was in the starting lineup. When they announced him, it was Nyes, Tavares, and Marner. Yeah. He was by far, the loudest cheer. Like he is beloved, and don't get me wrong, when he is at his best, I love watching Mitch Marner play.
Absolutely.
I love watching him play because I think he's absolutely elite. He is one of the best passers in the league, bar none.
One of the best passers of this generation.
The problem that you have is that you can put up 100 points.
He's never put up 100 points.
But you can, 99.
Yeah.
You can put up 100 points if you make more than $8 million on the cap. Which right now Nylander doesn't, not until next year. If you make more than $8 million on the cap, regardless of what team you play for, I'm talking broadly speaking now, I do not care what you do in the regular season. Mm-hmm. You are paid to perform in the playoffs. That is the end.
There is also, you're right, and there's also,
And I don't want to say he's not trying because I think that's a gross
No.
mischaracterization. Like, that is totally unfair.
Although,
the effort is clearly there.
There were a couple plays, don't believe last night, but maybe the game before, that were questionable effort. Like, they were cutting corners. Maybe not questionable effort, cutting corners.
See, I'm always like...
I've seen it. There are a couple that I noticed where it's like, oh, those are a couple. But it's...
whereas, like, Max Domi is turned to 11
exactly.
all the
Tyler
time.
Like, this is the best we've ever seen Tyler Bertuzzi.
And even though he's not scoring, but, like,
no,
he is a problem for them.
He's got a million chances. He's getting in Brad Marchand's head. He's, like, he probably should, like... It was obviously a high stick, but, like, he put the puck in the net, like, all that kind of stuff.
No, he is literally the reason they're getting chances on the power play, because he's wreaking havoc at the net front.
Exactly. Now, especially in the flat cap era, and Marner signed before that, so fine. But if you're a winger and you are making double digits, that you are being paid what I call "fuck you" money.
Yeah.
In the sense of there are always going to be excuses. I saw a lot of, well, clearly Marner's probably playing with something right now. He's probably banged up. I go, cool, fuck you. You're making $11 million. You're making double digits as a winger. I don't care. Fuck you.
Yeah, like Austin Matthews played sick last night. He wasn't fantastic, but he was creating chances.
He should have.
But
he hit a post and a crossbar. One of those goes in. We're having a totally different conversation. Exactly. And he I believe he had 8 shots.
And also, he dominated in game 2. Was the best player on the ice by 7 miles.
And you know what? I think a lot of the weird, obviously Matthews was ill, but like Keefe also galaxy brained himself in his deployment last night. Again,
I honestly wanted to lose my mind.
Who knows what could have happened if he was played properly? But there's a lot of when it comes to Marner, you are making double digits as a winger in the modern NHL. Goals are the premier asset that people get paid for. You don't score them. You do assists. Great.
You better have an assist per game.
You better have an assist per game. And look, in the regular season at least, he was a great defenseman. He got nominated for the Selke last year. However,
Fantastic.
He completely vanished last year. He completely vanished the year before. And this year, he didn't even wait until game 4 to vanish. He just vanished right away. We haven't seen him.
And it's like, the thing is like, I'm opening the door. Like, I'm leaving the door open. Not opening it. I'm leaving the door open. That maybe he does perform.
Absolutely.
I would love nothing more.
It would be amazing. And there's a good chance that we come back here on Monday when we record our next show. Mitch Marner has put up, like you said, like 3 points, OT winner, or maybe just the game winner in general. Leafs are going to Boston, tied 2-2. Totally different narrative. Everyone shuts up. Marner is beloved. And because the thing is, if Marner
That's
hadn't...
what I want. I want him to succeed here.
If Marner hadn't done a couple things, if Marner hadn't done the negotiation, if his agent hadn't done these things, if he didn't then immediately oversaturate himself in the market when it comes to endorsements, and then also on top of that, never show up in the playoffs, there would be a statue of him when he retired. He was, before that, when he was the plucky, awesome kid who got Ton Tavares almost 50 goals that year, people would have burned themselves alive just to be near Mitch Marner. Yeah. They would have self-immolated just to be near him. And yet, and he for some reason saw that and nuked his public perception. He has the chance to rebuild that within one game, literally a big game 3, and all of this goes away. All of it.
Oh yeah, he puts up 2 or 3 points, or he scores the game winner, or sets up the game winner in game 4.
All of this is gone.
He can look Steve Simmons in the eye and be like, "How about them apples?" Literally, how about that apple?
Yeah, or like, am I invisible now? Like you can.
I would show up in like a white jacket, just be like, "This is my invisibility cloak."
Am I invisible now? Yeah. So.
But the thing, and like, we're cheering for that. That's what we want.
Absolutely, I want Mitch Marner to succeed. I've wanted Mitch Marner to succeed ever since he got drafted.
It's a kid that's from here that gets to live out the dream of playing for the Leafs, like all of the little boys in this freaking city.
He's living the dream.
Yeah. So it's like, we want that because it's like the best story.
And the dream is to grow up in the GTA and
play for the Leafs.
And then make Intact insurance commercials. That's the dream. So we talked about how Vegas and the Stars was going to be the tightest series. Hasn't been quite that tight so far.
What, is it maybe because Vegas got one of their best players back off of LTIR?
It might have something to do with that. It might have something to do with the fact that Mark Stone is here. But listen,
Vegas has been the better team.
Vegas has been the better team, and also the guy again lacerated his spleen. He's probably not 100% healthy right now.
It's a legit injury.
Like he's just an absolute animal. But what I love about Vegas, so they're up 2-0 on the Stars, and now they're heading back to Vegas. And we say this every episode. It almost seems like, Rachel, but you know, you and I were both in Vegas last year for the playoffs. I was there for games 1 and 2 as well, which were nuts. And then obviously we were there for when they won at home in Game 5. Like that's an insane barn to play in. But you know why? You know why the Stars are down? It's not because of goaltending. It's not because of...
No, it's definitely not because of goaltending.
Definitely not because of goaltending, but it's not because of defensive breakdowns, not because of, ineffectual scoring. It's because they decided for some reason to center their entire playoff branding around AI. Do you not see that?
So bad, guys.
Play AI offs, and they got bullied into repealing it.
I bet they did.
And... look what happens. You're now down 2-0 heading onto the road. But
kind of like that dude who released the song in Vancouver and like Thatcher Demko and Brock Besser get immediately injured. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be a fan.
But don't do music videos.
Don't do that.
Like the Flames.
But also don't be racist to the guy.
Yeah,
that is art. That is way worse.
No.
Don't do that.
So I don't know what it is, and I'm literally not even going to let you speak on this because it's about the Canucks, but I just need to get it off my chest. Is that, so there was obviously the Canucks music video, which made me want to literally stab myself in the friggin' jugular
I did not
vein.
watch it.
It made me want to, honest to God, made me want to set me on fire. I watched about 30 seconds of it, and I'm like, I want...
And are you hurling racist insults at the man?
No, but
it's literally never acceptable to do. Don't do it.
But I did... I did like be like I hate you like in my head like I was like I nothing to do with his race.
To be blaming this guy.
What the hell were you thinking?
To be blaming this guy for those injuries happening is actually nuts.
Yeah,
that's kind of nuts.
But we have to take into account that the Flames did something like this,
and then their
franchise crumbled, like collapsed, combusted.
Yeah,
and. So there's the Canucks music video, and then now the Thatcher Demko is hurt potentially for like the rest of the playoffs. Which is we talked about, they're the biggest. Shut up, shut your mouth.
No, I feel bad.
Yeah,
I feel so bad for him.
No,
that's the thing is
for
like
him,
it fucking sucks
for Thatcher Demko.
I feel terrible for Thatcher Demko.
Yeah. And we know that the Canucks are potentially the team that relies the most on their goaltender in the entire playoffs. But there's another video that made the rounds.
Oh no. I didn't see this.
It's like Canucks fans. They're sitting down. It's sort of like it's almost like the John Tavares "We Don't Need You" video, but it's in support of Casey DeSmith.
Oh no!
It's like this video is for Casey DeSmith. If you're not Casey DeSmith, stop scrolling. You got the whole city of Vancouver behind you, Casey. We believe you. Remember when you had that shutout against the Stars on March 8th? That was great. Remember when you beat Nashville on April 12th? That was also great. You can do it, Kate. I'm just like, how have you not learned? How have you not learned? And it's...
If somebody in Toronto made a video like that for Mitch Marner, I think I'd actually just die laughing.
One of my friends in the Daniel Navy group chat was like, I want to make this for Mitch Marner. I'm like, no, I want you to make this for Mitch Marner, but I want it only to be you, and you change clothes so you can play every character.
Yes.
Like Eddie Murphy. And he's like, I'll have to do whiteface for that. I'm like, I don't care. Do it. Like, it's, like you have a pass. It's okay. So don't do that. But back to Vegas.
Don't do that, but also sad.
Yeah, but back to Vegas. This is a team. Obviously, they have stars. Mark Stone is amazing. Shea Theodore, Alex Pietrangelo, whatever. But
Jack Eichel,
yada yada,
yada yada.
Jonathan Marchessault could potentially get paid like
Thomas Hertl, pretty good.
Thomas Hertl, all that. But this is a team that is getting balanced scoring. Like their scoring leader is 4 points.
Imagine that.
It's Eichel, yeah. But like Noah Hannafin, 3 points.
He looks pretty good, huh?
He looks phenomenal. Like everyone on Vegas looks phenomenal. And their starting goaltender, Aiden Hill, goes down. They put in Logan Thompson. He's been swimmingly good.
Shout out Logan.
Shout out Logan Thompson.
Friend of the pod.
This is just like Vegas is just an unstoppable machine. Their cap situation might be pretty tight next year, but still, if you like, they'll be able to build around Jack Eichel.
They'll figure out a way to get out of it.
Yeah, like they'll kneecap someone and then have them come back. Like, who cares?
Someone's gonna get hit with like a cane.
There's gonna be a freak like jet ski accident in the summer to one of their players.
Does the series go back to Dallas or do they sweep?
They don't sweep, But
I don't think they sweep either. I think that now. I think Vegas in 6.
3-0 though.
I think it's Vegas in 6.
I might even say Vegas in 5. Like I think they go maybe not that I can see 6, but I do think they go up 3-0.
Interesting.
Like I do think they make it so it's like, oh boy, if they come back, it's like in the history books now.
Right.
You know, it's pretty tough. But like this has been an amazing series, just not
It's
in the
been
way,
a fun
just
series,
not in the way
for
we
sure.
thought it was going to be.
We owe Alexander Georgiev an apology.
Not just us.
Everyone
does.
But also that doesn't mean he won't implode tomorrow.
But he pulled it together. Because this is what a player does. You play terribly in the first game of the series. You get
horrendous.
And so you get due criticism for it. So then you go, boy, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. And you go out and you play your heart out and you lead your team to victory. How great would that be to see that in Toronto? Amazing. Georgiev, after letting in 7 goals on 23 shots in the first game of the series against the Jets, he responds on the road, I might add, with 28 saves on 30 shots to lead them to a 5-2 victory, lead the Avs to a 5-2 victory. The Avs are scary. If they have even somewhat competent goaltending, I say like the Avs in Vegas are like neck and neck when it comes to coming out of the West. It's going to be extremely tight.
Yeah, like I love watching the Avs play because Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar are super fun to watch. So if Alexander Georgiev could keep it together so that I can watch more of Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar, I would appreciate that.
Pretty sweet, I think.
It would be pretty cool. In the same way that if Stuart Skinner could hold it together so that all of us can watch Connor McDavid do Connor McDavid things, I would appreciate that.
My Oilers or my Kings in 7.
It looks a lot better than it did on.
That's for sure.
Monday.
I wasn't deterred after that first game. I thought, you know what, they got together.
So McDavid getting 5 points in one game is genuinely fucked.
Also, Trevor Moore almost killing somebody. He was my X factor. Look what happened. But no, it's the real. I would say, like obviously, Georgiev was the big point of the series, like the big talking point of the series. But in my opinion, the biggest talking point of this series, the biggest sort of X factor, is the fact that Connor Hellebuyck, the presumptive Vezina favorite,
he's winning.
He's gonna win.
Yeah.
870 save percentage.
Yeah. So
11 goals allowed through 2 games.
It's very weird.
What is going on here at home?
But also, like, the quality of the chances
Yeah,
that they are giving up.
Neil Pionk, man.
I
What is
personally
happening?
would not leave Mikko Rantanen wide open. That is not something I would do.
It's a bold strategy.
I would also not routinely let Nathan MacKinnon skate through the neutral zone at full speed.
I don't think you might have much of a choice. I don't think you're letting him do anything. I think he's just.
He's in dog mode.
I think he's just having his way. I think he's just having his way with you. You need to flip over and let him do what he's gonna do.
And this is why people get so upset in this city, because they see like McDavid put up 5 points in a game, or they see McKinnon do absolutely outrageous things, and they're like, "Where is that?"
Well, Matthews did that in game 2. That was.
But they're
that
like,
was the Matthews game.
But McDavid and McKinnon do it
Every game.
single game, and it's like even last night the Oilers lost. McDavid did some stuff where like I was sitting. So after the game, we went back to Harbor 60 because I had to like pick up my food and whatever, and we went into the bar area, the sitting area. We were watching the Oilers game, and there were like more than a few times where I could audibly hear Leafs fans be like, "Did you just see McDavid do that?"
Yeah, he's a one-man wrecking crew. Like,
He's
a
actually
highlight reel.
When you are so good that fans from another team who just lost a playoff game are like, "Did you just see him do that?"
It's pretty remarkable.
You're pretty good at what you, and that's the thing is like Connor McDavid. I looked at this yesterday. This is a fun little factor-rooney. Playoff scoring all time. Points per game.
Oh boy. Well, yeah, points per game. He's probably.
Gretzky.
Yeah.
Good hockey player.
Mm-hmm.
Lemieux. Good hockey player. McDavid, third all time. This man is third all time in points per game in the playoffs. You want to talk about elevating your game in the playoffs? Jesus Christ. When you're in the same category as 99 and 66, that's just like, that's a different level of psycho mode.
I just want everyone to remember that Connor McDavid makes the equivalent of like Bobby McMahon's annual salary difference between Mitch Marner right now.
my God, yeah, he makes 12.5.
McDavid makes 12.5. Marner, with like the inflation now, makes like 11.0 something or whatever, like something like that. So, I want everyone to remember that. They like Mitch Marner. The difference between Mitch Marner and Connor McDavid's salaries is like Connor Duer's salary.
And we're not, by no means, I don't want this to get misconstrued. By no means are we saying we expect Mitch Marner to be as good as Connor McDavid.
But you got to.
We expect him to be a point per game.
Yeah, but you got to be at least like in the realm, not obviously doing like David.
We expect you to be outscoring Jake DeBrusk.
Exactly.
I expect you to be the best winger in the series, and if not, the person you're second best to is David Pastrnak.
Absolutely.
Not Jake DeBrusk.
So, on that note, Rachel. Yep. Well, actually, before we go, I just want to ask you: are you worried about Hellebuyck?
No.
These are two pretty awful games.
Yeah, I unless there's an injury we don't know about, like if it's just purely because the scoring chances Colorado is creating is absurd. And like if you think any goalie is something, like I'm sorry, but if Ilya Samsonov was in net for some of those chances, Colorado would have scored 19 goals.
If Ilya Samsonov was in net, he'd look like Alexander Georgiev.
Yes, exactly. And that's not like disrespectful to Ilya Samsonov. It's just the fact that like
no, it's disrespectful to him and Alexander Georgiev, I think.
But like the thing is like if these goals are going in on Connor Hellebuyck,
they're going in
on everybody else.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm not worried about Connor Hellebuyck. I'm worried about the Jets' ability to defend and remotely help Connor Hellebuyck. Yeah. That's what I'm more worried about.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Well, Rachel, we've reached the end of the podcast. Before I do that, I want everyone to subscribe to us on YouTube, on Twitch, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, any podcatcher. We are there. Write us a review. And also donate to Jumpstart, our charity of choice. Jumpstart helps economically disadvantaged kids play team sports. It's a cause that's very near and dear to Rachel and I's hearts. All of the links for any donations will be in the description below in the episode. And if you can, please donate. Anything you want to leave them with before we leave, Rachel?
Nope. I'm just trying to wrap my head around the fact that we're heading for another first round disappointment, and I'm loving. But if I'm wrong, and it's because Mitch Marner decides he's putting up 5 points over the next 3 games, I'll be the first person to be like, that guy gets slack now.
There you go.
Whoever wins, let's say the Leafs come back and win the series, whoever is the primary driver of you beat the Boston Bruins, leeway for 2 years.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Listen, watch, do whatever. We love you, and we will be back on Monday. You'll hear it on Tuesday, though, to hopefully talk about
a tied series.
Talk about a redemption like none other.